Good.
Hey guys, I'm Brian. She's Brenda on YouTube at New Life Recovery. Good morning, Brenda.
Good morning, Brian.
Um, Man, we were talking earlier. This has been a week. Just I'm looking outside my window right now and the sun is shining and like we got all these birds out here. It almost looks like a spring day, but man, this these gray days have just been killing me.
Yeah, they started in November. It gets dark, 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 and now it's finally starting to get light. And I feel like we've made it. We've
Yeah.
made it through the.
I get why people move to Florida and Arizona and Texas, these gray days where you don't see the sunshine.
Yeah.
That's rough. So,
Yes.
um, a good question, and sometimes I'll ask my members, I'll ask you, what are some things that you do to get out of your own head? What are some things that you do to get through these winter blahs?
Well, I'm fairly new to the winter thing. This is technically my third winter, and while that may not be new, all these feelings that I'm having are new. I'm actually supplementing my diet with vitamin D. I mean, that's what my doctor told me to do. One thing my doctor told me to do. Another thing, I got one of these little lights on Amazon, and it gives you UV light. It gives, and so when I'm at my desk, it's small. They have all kinds of them, um, but it just helps get vitamin D into your skin. Both of those things my doctor recommended because I was seriously struggling when I moved here.
Yeah,
Depression is real, and it's not anything. I hate it when people say snap out of it. I am not a pea. I can't snap out anything. Okay.
yeah.
So I think you have to be willing to learn something new to help you
That's
get out of it too.
That's good. And it takes intentionality. It's very interesting. You mentioned the light. You didn't know this, but I sit under one all the time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. I have it hanging up right here on my lamp, so it kind of is on my face. And every time, all day, I'm at work. I don't know if it, I don't, I don't like feel this big help, but it can't hurt, right?
It's those little things, the little things, one little thing, and it can stack for
Yeah.
sure. Don't
Um,
turn that light off. Ooh, I'd hate to see it without that light.
I too take a vitamin D supplement, and that's one thing that our providers often will say. You know, when we're not getting it from the sun, what a practical thing. But again, that takes intentionality. And I think
Yeah.
too, we think sometimes it's got to be this big thing, wow, you're struggling with depression, you're struggling with what's it called, seasonal affective disorder. We got to go to months of therapy. Man, sometimes it is just getting the light, taking the vitamin D, making sure you go for a walk.
Well, and realizing yourself. If other people are telling you, you have to look in the mirror. You know,
Yeah.
you look in it and you say, and I would say, oh, it's too cold to go outside. But a very wise person told me when I moved here, it's not cold when you have the right gear. And I'm like, oh man, can't I just be cranky in my house? Now you're gonna go out and get me nice winter protective gear. Okay, fine. But don't go outside in a hoodie expecting not to get cold. I mean, that's completely different than seasonal depression, but it's the intentionality is what I'm trying to affirm is that you
Yeah,
have to go ahead.
you have to do it. Yeah. I've said before, a hammer has never built a house. The hammer is
Oh,
always yielded by a carpenter. And the same is true. Like we've got these tools, but we've got to be intentional about using them. And sometimes we just are stuck. And when depression is bad, sometimes you don't even feel like getting out of bed, So
sure.
the step for you is be intentional, get out of bed, be intentional, take the shower, be intentional, go for the walk, because um, the feelings will follow. We do these things, you turn on the light, you stay engaged. Um, Another thing, Brenda, is this idea of guilt-free pleasure. Sometimes,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, sometimes we feel like we feel like we're so we have to, we got a big have to list. I got to get this done. Um, takes a day. You and I were talking earlier about I'm gonna go hiking today. I didn't tell my wife this yet, but guys, I'll tell you, I'm gonna go to my favorite restaurant today. And
Okay.
I grew up south of Chicago, and we had Taco John's. And
Okay.
yeah, maybe most people never heard of it, but we got a Taco John's here in Michigan City now. And man, I've already been there four times or so.
I'm so glad it's the same. I mean, it's good. That's wonderful. I'm
Yeah,
so glad it wasn't disappointing. Look at that being intentional. Look at that smile. That's legit smile.
yeah, yeah. And um, another tool too is therapy. Like when we need it, um, hey, healthy people have a doctor. If you're a really healthy person, you have a doctor or a nurse practitioner that you will go see from time to time, right?
Absolutely.
And the same is true with our mental health. Healthy
Yes.
people will have a therapist. And so,
And it's not one you may have seen them every day or every week for a couple of years, and then it kind of subsides. But you still keep in contact with them. You still have that number in your back pocket, and not because you're sick, because you're healthy. Okay.
exactly.
The healthiest, wisest person knows that we don't know anything. We have a certain level of knowledge, but it's nowhere near to where we could be, where we can be. I like that there's smarter people than me in the world. I didn't
Yeah.
used to. Okay. I mean, I think I shared this with you once. One of my very first, when Facebook was invented, my first post was teenagers move out of the house while you know everything. I was
Yeah,
one of those teenagers. I
I like
was.
yeah, I like that one. I like that
And so
one.
the older we get, we need other resources of information
Yeah.
to help. We are not all doctors. We are not all nutritionists. We are not all counselors or psychologists. We can't possibly have all of the information in our head to make us healthy from stem to stern,
I
inside and out.
I think those of us that are counselors need it all the more. Man.
I'm not disagreeing.
Whew. Um, but also sometimes you do need to be in therapy for months or years, and that's okay. But
Yep.
don't let that scare you because oftentimes I'll go to counseling 2 sessions, maybe three. That's all I need. 4 months ago when the weather started turning here, I was in a bad place and I got myself to counseling. I did 2 sessions and I didn't even need the third. When we got to the third session, I was like, honestly, I'm doing great. Let's just check in and, close out because, sometimes you need someone to get over the hump. And also, um, we in the Western world have this idea that I can do it, the maverick mind, I don't need anybody else. And it's just not true.
We're
Um,
all Superman or Wonder Woman.
yeah. Um, God, God put us in families. We need each other. Uh, sea turtles are hatched on the beach, and then mom goes off and never sees her kids again, right? Sea turtle is born and like no nurturing here. Uh, but that's not us. Man, you're in the house till you're at least, 16, 17, 18, at least. If
For
you're my
sure.
if you're my kid, you're still here at 22, but
Because he won't let you leave. I know the truth.
yeah. So
Well, and you know, on that note, you are in a house for a particular amount of time. And when you leave that house, sometimes you don't have a family. So you also have to be intentional about the people that you let into your life. You don't want
yes.
to let a miserable person into your life that when you're down, you call and you say, I'm so down. And they're like, well, you should be. Your life stinks. Like, you don't need that person in your life. That's not going to help with
Yeah.
depression. You need a, I know, I know happy people aren't everywhere and you just can't pick them off the tree. But I think that your inner person recognizes an inner person when you're going to be a friend for a season or a friend for a lifetime. And either one of those friend definitions are okay.
Yeah, that's good. That's sage advice, Brenda. Um, yeah. I think of all the kids, my wife and I used to foster, and what about all these foster kids that opt out of the system, and then you're just out there.
The day they
It
turn 18, boom, kicked
Yeah,
out. And the foster parents can't do anything about it either.
in recovery, we talk about people, places, and things. And boy, if that's not so solid, the people that you yeah, decide to, I don't know the verbiage I'm looking for, but the people you decide to let influence you.
I can tell you, being alone without a family most of my life, my friends that were there, this is my saying, anybody can use it, through thick and thin, sick and sin. And that takes time. And those will be your people. But much like depression, it doesn't happen overnight. You're going to get burned. But my friends through thick and thin, sick and sin became my family, but they were tried and true. And
Yeah,
I'm their family too. It just isn't something you can buy in the store. Just like a happy person, you can't go pick it off a tree. You have to be willing, but not stupid.
that's really good. So maybe we end with this. Um, as I am literally praying for people to come into my son's life that will be a positive influence, it
Good job.
also reminds me because right, my kid's going to listen to you, Brenda, way before he does me, just because you're not me. Um, but that also reminded me then I need to be that person. So I'll literally pray, God, let me be the person that some mom is praying for, that I could influence their kid. So in the line of work that I do, I get to talk to a lot of people that are, hurting and in difficult places. And, maybe we could be that person for them. So that's a take home for all of us today, guys. Man, um, who can you be that good, positive influence to? And then to Brenda, um, besides AA or NA, besides group therapy, where are places that we might find these, people that are going to be positive?
Well, um, an event. You go, I moved to a town where I know basically nobody. So I like to go to these little vintage antique fairs. It makes me happy. I don't have to spend any money, but I'm in a group of people with like mind.
Yeah,
So I'm at a table, I have a conversation with a lady. We end up talking for 10 minutes. We exchange social media. And Sunday, we're going out just to grab like a juice. You
yeah,
know, it has to start somewhere. You just have to start somewhere. And you know what? We're meeting in public, not at somebody's home, not over a drink. I mean, it is a protein drink, but in LA they were Jamba juices, and here it's called something or another. It's some sort of juice place. Frozen deliciousness.
yeah, yeah. But that's the take home, right? It's got to be
Yeah,
intentional. You gotta
yeah,
do it, whether it's a church function or, yeah, the painting parties or something. Um, yeah, they always say this old saying, hang out with people you want to become.
absolutely. That's
Yeah,
right.
that's good. That's
And
good.
that saying, you can't fly like an eagle when you hang around with turkeys. Guess what? There are a lot more turkeys than eagles. You got to
Uh,
give yourself time. Give yourself time
that's
to
good.
learn how to fly.
That's
Okay.
good.
So
Well, literally, we didn't talk about what I said we were going to talk about today, but
sorry.
that's okay. That's okay. Like, you know, it became what it was. So, guys, love you. God bless you. Until next time, be well.